Alright guys, welcome back to Paul Blart's Garage. What we're going to do today is an oil change in my 2013 Dodge Challenger. And just to go over the oil that I prefer to use, and use whatever oil that you like. But I use the Mobil 1 520 synthetic. It's full synthetic oil. Takes up to 7 quarts from what I understand. And I went with the Mobil 1 oil filter, which you can see there from the number. And usually what I use is drive up ramps. And the tools that you're going to need is you're going to need a 10mm socket or wrench, which I used a wrench on this one that has the this type here that has the ratcheting ends on it, makes it easier to get. And you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts to take out, and this thing just slides out and slides back and out. And you just kind of lay it to the side. No big deal there. If you get up on the car to do your own change, you'll see where, you know, what I had to do to take it off. And it is super duper hot out here. I waited for an hour for the engine to cool off a little bit, and you want to do it when the engine is warm but not hot, because the oil will burn you when you take the plug out. The oil plug's right here, and when you take it out, it's that close to the front of the oil sump or the oil pan, and the oil will come out and burn you. But the reason you do it when it's warm is the oil's not as thick, and it will drain out faster, and it won't be as thick, and you'll get more of the oil out, and it won't be if it's cold, it'll be you know, built up on the walls and everything of the in the block and in the pan, all that stuff. And just, you know, you'll still have a lot of it in there. And what I usually do is when I change my oil, get everything changed, the new oil filter put in and all that stuff, I'll jack up the back of the car, and or I can just push it off the ramp to put my oil in. But while it's draining, I usually will take a jack and jack up the back of the car and level the car out. Even though it's going to get enough oil out, you know, most of the oil out the way it's sitting now, but just to get it on a even surface, I'll jack it up and make sure everything's leveled out. So when it drains out, I just let it back down, plug everything back up, and I just turn I don't turn the car on, but I turn the ignition switch to on without cranking the car, and I'll put it in gear and push it down off the jack stands, and then I'll fill it back up with oil. And anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can get this oil plug out. And it was extremely hot earlier, and I got the wrong socket for that ratchet. And let's see, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So basically, I think I got it turned around the right way. I used to turn that way. I got it on there, and it's not as hot as what it was. I may need to use a socket instead of a wrench, because I can get more leverage and get my fat butt in here. And as you can see, the oil filter is located on the passenger side, and you take it off after you drain the oil and everything out. And let's see if I can get this stupid thing loose. Sometimes you get up into here and look at the thing backwards, and you end up tightening it instead of loosening it. Oh man, man, they put that thing on there tight. I may end up having to get a socket put on. I don't know why they stuck that thing up there that tight, but it is freaking on there. And this is the part, man, I'm telling you, that's the part I don't like about taking these bolts out. You take it to an express loop where they're doing, you know, 100 cars a day or so or more, and those guys get in a big ass hurry and they tighten these things up extremely too tight, and that's when you get shit stripped out, and then you're left trying to figure out how to fix it. And that's exactly what happened. And the last time I went, I had an oil leak after about a week, and I didn't realize it was me because my car never leaked until I had the oil change. I took this pan down, and I could literally grab a hold of this filter right here and wiggle it around with my hands. It was so loose. And I just took it and tightened it back up and cleaned the surface off around it to make sure it was sealed up. And it was. And at first I thought maybe when they took the filter off, they broke the little seal that's on the end of the filter and left it up in there, and then put another oil filter on it. And you know, I had two seals in there, and it was leaking out around it, but it wasn't, thank God. And it was just me tightening it up hand tight, and it didn't leak anymore. But anyway, I'll be back momentarily. I'm going to cut the video off here, and then you'll see that a couple of times where I'll cut the video off. Sometimes you can tell it, and come back after I get the socket and ratchet and stuff that I need. Anyway, be back shortly. Alright guys, we're back. Finally got the socket that I needed, and I'm going to try to, let's see, just making sure. Okay. Making sure I got everything where it's turning right. See that right there I don't like. See how that looks like that's almost cracked right there? I'm sure we can't tell, but I get super duper nervous whenever I have somebody that's over tightening something like this on a vehicle. Super duper nervous. And come on now. Oh God, Jesus Christ. Guys, I'm putting a lot of pressure on this thing. It's making me super duper nervous. This is aluminum, and that's something you don't do. You don't tighten up an oil plug that damn tight. That's just absolutely stupid for somebody to tighten that up that tight. I'm just hoping they didn't strip it and then put black tight. Because that thing is like on there. I mean, it's on there so tight that I may have to use a damn cheater bar just to get it off. Extremely stupid. I'd like to fucking punch the person in the head, excuse my language, who put this damn bolt in there. I mean, when I tell you I'm using pressure, I'm using a lot of pressure to get that off, to the point where it scares me. Jesus Christ. I'm actually gonna have to get a damn cheater bar and put on here to get it off. You don't put these things on there that tight. That's what strips them out. When you put something on there that tight, you know, that's kind of the reason why I don't like going into a shop to have shit done, because they don't take pride in, a lot of them don't take pride in what they're doing. They just hurrying up to get to the next customer, and they get pushed to hurry. And when they do stupid shit like this. They tighten these bolts up so tight. When I tell you, I'm using a lot of pressure. You know, I'm scared to death I'm gonna strip this thing out, because you strip it out, then you got to send it, you got to have it towed to a shop and pay somebody to tap and drill that hole out and put a different size plug in there, because some moron was too stupid to do what he's supposed to do and just put it in there tight enough to seal it off. But some yahoo decided they were gonna put that thing in there like bionic man strength or something. But anyway, be back shortly. Alright guys, welcome back to Paul Blart. We got a 1/2 inch drive now. Hopefully I'll get enough bite on, or enough you know, enough girth on this here to break this oil pan bolt loose that Express Oil Change in Foley, Alabama decided they were going to stick on there so darn tight. I'm hoping it doesn't strip out. I mean, really I should just take everything and bolt everything back up and just take all this, take the car and everything back to them, let them be the one that breaks it getting it out. But I should have known last time I took it to them. They not only lost one of my bolts to my frame here, and I know they were all there because they were in a hurry, because they had a lot of people there and they were just trying to get everybody out as fast as they can, and they didn't tighten my oil filter up, and I had to take it back for them to put another oil filter and stuff on it. Well, actually I tightened it up with my hand, but I went ahead and took it and had a change done while I was there, and I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to get enough bite on it with this on here. I don't like using these extensions like that, but it's the only one I have in the 13mm. It's just awkward the way I'm at trying to get to it. There it is. Whew, Jesus Christ. That's kind of the reason why, guys, I like doing things myself, because you take pride in your own thing, and especially when you know it's your daily vehicle, and you know, you take more pride in it when you do things yourself, and you take it to a shop, you never know what you're gonna get. And it's just aggravating they had that shit on there that damn tight. Stupid. I didn't get that much on me. Anyway, Sorry about the cursing and stuff, guys. It's just I've already been aggravated at that shop once for when they did the oil change. They lost one of my bolts, number one, and then for my access panel that goes right here, and then they didn't put my oil filter on there tight enough. The one thing they should have had on there, you know, hand tight, they didn't have it on there, and I ended up getting a leak. And if I hadn't have noticed it and just been paying attention, you know, if it'd been somebody just goes and has it done, don't really pay attention up, you know, looking under the car for leaks and stuff like I do, my engine would be locked up right now. And of course they'd be denying it, and then I'd have to carry them to court, and then I'd be, you know, having to rent a vehicle or do without a vehicle for months because, you know, they don't want to own up to their mistake. But anyway, we're gonna let this drain out for about 20 minutes. And I'm going to jack the back end up so I can get this thing leveled out. Even though the oil pan, if you look at it, is kind of at an angle this way, so all the oil is down in the sump where the oil pump and everything is, I think, is up here at the front of the engine. But anyway, it's the oil don't look that bad. It is black. It is right at time for the oil change. It is, you know, no darker than what it should be. But let's let this thing drain out for about 20 minutes, and then I'll resume the video when we go to, you know, put everything back up. I want to wait for it to drain out before I take the oil filter down and put me a new glove on. I got these old cheap, you know, restaurant gloves. It's the only ones I could find. But anyway, we'll be back, and hopefully it's informative. But again, you know, excuse me for the curse words. But it is what it is. I was kind of pissed off about how tight that bolt was. But anyway, I'll be back momentarily. Okay guys, we're about to put the oil plug back in, and then you want to put a little bit of oil on the seal of the oil filter. And I was talking about earlier, this is what I'm talking about. This ring right here is the it's the seal, and a lot of times people put it in there so tight it rips this out, and then it'll stick in there where this screws in, and then somebody will take unknowingly and put another filter up there, and it'll be a double, they call it double stack, and then it'll leak, and you can't figure out why it's leaking. Even when you try to tighten it up, it continues to leak. And then when you take it down, you notice this is ripped off up in there, and then you got the one that's actually on the filter. But always take oil and put it around this, so when you're screwing it up there, it goes on there nice and easy. A lot of people will put oil in these filters. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's still it's going to have enough oil in the block to be lubricated, and as soon as I turn the car on, it's going to fill up with oil anyway. But I'll usually take my finger or a cloth or something, and oh yeah, girl. And I'll put it on there like that. Woohoo! Just a little bit more on there. Should be good. And stick it back in there like that for a second. And I got ahead of myself, but it doesn't matter. It's still good and lubed up. And get down here and get this drain plug back in. And then you'll need, if they got it on there too tight, the oil filter, you'll need an oil filter wrench. They do make some that you use a extension and a socket that fits up in the middle of it. It's easier to get to. I had one, but it was for a Chevrolet, not a Dodge, and it's too small. But also, if you're working on the ground like I am on your back, make sure when you put that oil plug back in that you don't get any sand or debris on that bolt and screw it back up in there, because that'll also cause it to strip out. And like I said, that bolt was in there awful tight, and I apologize again for cursing, but it happens. And most of my videos are raw. Hardly ever do I go in and edit a video to where I'm editing stuff out. Usually it's just, if I see something fixing to happen, I'll shut the camera off and do what I got to do. But let's get this oil pan kind of scooted out over here, because I know if it's take that oil filter down, it's going to be full of oil, and that's usually where you get messy. Just taking that thing down. And, like I said, you don't need to debo this thing on here. And there it is. You know, see how that was? I could actually feel it when it bottomed out, and there was no need to deboing that thing out. So let's see if I can get that off and start it by hand, which I probably won't, because I'm not the one that put it on there. And get my oil wrench. I need to turn it to the left. And that's the thing I hate about these things right here is a lot of times it's aggravating. It's a little bit too big for it. I've got another one in there that's a little bit smaller. My hands are oily from oiling that filter and getting oil on me, or I'd be able to turn it probably. If I had a rag down here, I may have to go get a rag and wipe it off and try to get it with my hand, because I did tell them last time I was in there that they had not put it on there tight enough, and the manager had told the guy doing it, make sure you put the oil filter on there tight. And it's on there. Let's see what I need to do to get this wrench on here. Shed some light on the subject. And you can see it's in there. You know, it's a small filter. And matter of fact, I don't think the filter I have is the right filter. That's weird, because the filter I got, I looked it up twice for a 2013 Dodge Challenger RT 5.7 liter. And that's weird, because that's not nowhere near the size of the one I bought, which, you know, it is what it is, and there's no way I'm gonna get that to fit. But anyway, I'll be back in a moment. I'll get another one and get this off, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. I ended up trying not one, not two, not three, not four. All of them right there would not fit that small oil filter. And I ended up drying it off really good with a towel and then going and washing my hands with soap. And I was able to get up there and get it. And as you can see, I don't know what kind of oil filter that is. Express Oil. They got their own cheap ass oil filter they put on there, excuse my language. Which, you know, I thought they put mobile, because I told them everything I wanted was Mobil 1. And they put their own personal filter on there, which I guess it's okay. It looks like a AC Delco type filter or something, but it's got Express written on it. And let's see if I can get this thing cleaned up enough to get it out of this bucket without ruining my other filter. I mean, you see how small that thing is. That thing is way smaller than the one that it calls for in the book. I mean, this is, you can tell by looking at that, that's nowhere near going to fit. It's too big, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. But I have to take this back to the parts store, something I didn't want to have to do, and let that thing drain out where I can take it with me to make sure I get the right one. I looked it up twice. I looked it up and then I had him look it up on the computer, and this was Advance, and he said it was right. So I kind of, when I was looking at it, kind of figured it was too big. And of course I wear glasses, and everything looks big when you're looking at it through the glasses. And but anyway, I'll have to take that back and get this other filter. But as soon as I get this other filter, I'll be back and we'll finish up with this install. I know it's a long install, but you know, I do things mostly raw here, and this is exactly what you're going to go through. These things that just happen that don't normally happen, or you could be faced with when you're trying to do this stuff. This is the kind that I usually use. Like this car here, I plan on keeping it. So what I'll do is, you can just take, it's real easy. You can just buy one of these that fit, you know, your factory oil filter, and you just put an extension in here with a ratchet, and extension fits in here, and you just turn it off. It's that easy. It's real easy to get to, unless you have a filter that's stuck up in there at an angle like this. Then you may have to use a swivel, but there's just not much room up under there, and none of these right here, these special ones, worked, and this one was too big. But But these are things that you're going to go through when you're trying to do your own oil change. A lot of people will edit out everything to where everything looks like everything went smooth. But I like for people to see, you know, what kind of problems you're going to go through when you're doing things on your own. Not everything is just perfect, and a lot of people want a channel to where every single thing they do looks like they 100% know exactly what's fixing to happen and what to do 100% of the time. That's the reason why when you're watching my videos, there ain't no telling what you may see. You may see some shit catch on fire, explode, somebody go to jail, somebody get pregnant. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen on this channel. That's how raw it is. Anyway, as soon as I get this filter and get back with it, we'll finish the install, and I'll see you momentarily. Okay guys, welcome back to Paul Blart's garage. We left off with me when I took the oil filter down. It was way different than the one that I bought that fits the car, which you can see this one is a lot bigger around and a lot girthier than the one that I took off down here. Let me see if I can pick it up without getting oil all over everything. This one is the one that came out, but as you can see, thread patterns are the same, exact same, and it freaked me out because the last place I had the oil change done on this that I didn't do myself, and I normally do it myself unless I've got a big work schedule, is Express Oil Change, and it's the OF 2500. So I called them up just to make sure that something wasn't threaded wrong, and they had to change that little plate that the filter screws to and put their own filter on there or whatnot. They said there was 3 different filters that fit this car, this 5.7 liter, and they all look different, but they'll all mount in there like, you know, the same, even though this is bigger round. He said the reason they went to that smaller, thinner filter like that, so this big bulky one is that the bigger the filter, the more oil that's going to be sitting in that filter and not lubing the motor. And some people were complaining with blow-by, something about the oil journals and stuff. It wasn't processing enough oil up in the motor because a lot of it was sitting in the oil filter being filtered. It was causing blow-by, and to better that, they went with that smaller, thinner filter like that, so there's not as much oil sitting in that filter. And that was just what the tech explained to me, Express Lube, which I guess it makes sense. And but anyway, we're gonna put a little oil inside this filter. I've seen people, you know, they'll move that out of the way without splashing it everywhere. 7 quarts in that thing down there, and but some people just put it on there dry, especially if your oil filter's mounted up at an angle. I could see people putting it up there dry, you know, because you're sitting there trying to hold an oil filter and screw it in place, and you know, you got oil spilling everywhere because it's sitting at an angle. I'm not going to fill it up all the way, just enough, because there's enough oil in that motor right now that when I turn the motor on, there'll be enough to keep everything lubed up until I turn the motor on, you know, after putting all the oil back in it. And sorry this oil change is taking so long, but it is what it is, and you can either watch it or not watch it. But we do things raw here at Paul Blart's garage. I've said that before. So if you're looking for something commercialized like Cletus and Cars, or, you know, some of these other big time YouTubers, that ain't me. And I don't know about that, man. I mean, look at that bracket there compared to what I'm holding right here. That doesn't, something just don't look right about it. I don't know. I mean, guys, don't that look like it's not going to seal off right? It looks like the threading is the same, but I'm just not too sure about that. I mean, it just doesn't look like it's going to seal up. And he says it will. Screw it on there hand tight and that it won't leak. But that's crazy. I mean, every single one of the oil filters I looked up at the parts stores for this car are exactly the one that I'm putting on this engine right now. And I even looked it up for the SRT8s, 392s. They all are the same. And he said there are 3 different oil filters that will fit on this thing. Now, I've got it up there hand tight, but I may end up putting my oil wrench on there and just giving it a small turn, simply because my hands are greasy. And let's go out here and get the one that's got the ratchet on. I believe I'll be able to get one of them on there. I should have left them out here, but anyway. But if it leaks after I put that, I think what I'll do is just drive it off the ramps after I get the oil and everything in it, and then see if it's going to leak. Because as soon as I turn it on with the pressure and all, it should. I think I'd be better off using this one because of the way it's designed, the way it's made. This one's designed where you can put it up there, twist it on there, and then turn it. And I think this thing's supposed to swivel out, but let's see. As I bought every single oil filter puller that every parts store in my area has. Alright, come on now. Let's see if that'll make it catch. Man. I'll tell you what. They don't make it easy for you to get to anything on this car either. I mean, it's like this thing acts like it doesn't want to. When you put it on there, it doesn't want to tighten up at all. And you're supposed to be able to stick it up there and then twist it, and it's supposed to tighten up on it, but it's just not wanting to do that. So aggravating. You just about gotta have to use 2 hands. Yeah, it just does not want to grab. Like you know, it says hand tight, but it's hand tight on there. But I'm just not satisfied with it. And this one right here, I think somebody with grenade hands used this thing and broke it because it's not wanting to grab a hold of anything. The ones that I like, that if I ever run across one, has the strap. It's a rubber strap that has it, and it. Because when you put it on there, it's supposed to do this, but it's not doing it, it's just spinning around on it. But bear with me, guys. What's going on right now is exactly what you're going to be dealing with when you're trying to do something like this. And it can get frustrating. And this one is a little bit better as far as how it operates, but it was hard to get in there with the space that's in there. So maybe I'll get enough space in there to tighten it up. Let's see what this right here is. No, it's not what I thought it was. It's the longest oil change in history, fellas. Go through a whole GoPro battery just to do the oil change. And about the time it starts tightening up, there we go. I got one good turn out of it there just then. Got another good turn out of it. Partial turn, another good partial turn. Alright. I believe it's on there good. I mean, I was able to turn it maybe a half a turn. And, which we got the plug in there. And got everything on it. What I'm going to do is put the oil in it and then let it down off the jacks, off the ramps here, and then crank it up and see if it's going to leak before I put this cover and everything back on it. Oh man. I'll keep this oil filter because I have problems with it leaking. I may have to just go up to Express and get them to sell me one that they say there's different brands that are this size. It's just a different part number, but when I looked them up in the book, none of them had them different sizes he was talking about. Okay, put this back. I'll be doing a whole lot of fast forward on this video, I can already tell. As you can see, we got junk in here for every season of the year, all over the place. Go ahead and pour these two down in here. I'm surprised that came off without me having to use a crowbar to get it off. Clean my engine, that's for sure. And this is I use this for the last oil change I did on this thing. And this one's designed where you can actually set the whole thing down in there, let it pour, but I've had experiences before when I've done that and it didn't quite get down the drain hole and sealed off and poured all over an engine I was putting oil in. So it's kind of like leaving your gas pump running while you're in the store shopping. Come out and find that there's something wrong with the gas pump and you got 30 gallons out on the floor. Yeah, a lot of traffic in the neighborhood today. This is 5 quarts in here, so should be right at 7 quarts once all this gets put in there. If that oil filter doesn't hold, I'm gonna be pissed, because I asked him like 3 different times, give him the part number and everything. He said, yeah, it's fatter and more bigger round, but not as long as the one that we put on there. And he said, you got 3 different filters that actually fit that car. Don't look like they belong, but they'll all thread up and sell off. So I hope he knows what he's talking about, because I'm gonna be pissed off major if that's not correct. There's one thing to bullshit somebody about something that you just bullshitting somebody on. It's one thing to actually know what you're talking about. So guess we'll see. I always give them the benefit of the doubt, but I had a problem with them once before when I went, and they had a new guy there. I think I did a video on it where he actually sat his, you can see it right there, showed it several times if I can get it. I ain't got my glasses on, but he set his paper down right here, and he was looking at my VIN, and he was writing so many, whatever numbers they have to have, and it stayed in this vinyl forever. And I mean, I had people telling me they noticed it. They said, what's this VIN number on your vinyl? Did you have a repo company try to come get your car or something? I'm like, no. And I said, the express oil change guy did that. And if I wasn't going to just have them removed, and all I would have went up there and raised hell with them and made them, you know, redo my vinyl striping. And before we put any of these tools and everything up, on there, said I'll be doing a whole lot of fast forwarding here on this video, and just probably just fast forward through everything of me just talking junk, and then whenever it's over with, I'll, you know, because you know what tools you're gonna have 13 millimeter to take the oil plug out, and 10 millimeter to take those bolts out of the inspection cover, which is located right here on the ground up under the tools there. And then an oil filter wrench is, you know, you can buy the one that you put the extension in. Oh, one other thing I wanted to do is pull the oil dipstick out, which I know it's not going to be accurate because everything's on the ground, but the motor has oil in it already. It's not going to hurt it at all. And I guess it helps if you have your key. Hold tight just a minute, folks. Alright guys, getting ready to crank this after the oil change. And to remind you, there's a reason why this channel is called Paul Blart's Garage. If any of y'all have ever watched any of those movies, Mall Cop 2, Mall Cop 1, and some of the other Kevin James has been in, you'll know what I'm talking about, because this has got to be the most retarded channel on YouTube, but it can get entertaining sometimes, and it can be informative sometimes. Have enough oil pressure on it right now to know if he knows what he was talking about as far as that thing being sealed off. Getting sand all in my hair and all in my clothes, so that's why I sit on this thing here. It doesn't appear to be no leak. Let's see. There'll be enough pressure in it right now to go around that seal. But he said, like I said, there's three different filters that fit this car. inspection plate up there. It's not gonna hurt anything being on while I do it. Gonna drop my damn. Y'all didn't see me take this off, so I'll get to see basically. And this thing can be aggravating trying to put on by yourself too, especially when you got gnats and sweat stuff draining down in your arm right at the time that you start putting this thing up here. Bolts when we get it started. What I'll do is drive it around, we get it done, and get it off the ramp, check the oil pressure. And make sure there's no leak, make sure I got good oil pressure. It's amazing how these gnats will follow you up under the car with the car running and get all in your nose and all in your eyes while you're trying to do something. It's down around here where I live at, the gnats are like, they're bad as here and the mosquitoes are in Africa. It's just crazy. Crazy. I gotta tighten them too tight, just enough where they won't come out. Alright, that's how you get that on and off. Let's get this thing off the ramp. And check. Make sure I got plenty of oil on the stick, which I put all 7 quarts in it. I'll let it drain for about an hour. Alright guys, hopefully I'll get oil all in my car. Get some air in on the subject. This thing off real easy. Oh, another thing too, guys. Remember what we chocked the wheels with when we first started? Yeah, might be a good idea. So used to not having chocks under my tires. Go ahead. This in the trunk. Now, should make it a little easier to back off the ramps. I'm real slow because barely enough room for it to miss my spoiler, front spoiler. Let's look at our oil pressure. System warnings. Let's see, 55 oil pressure. Yeah, it's about where it was, where it's at. tires with 41 pounds of pressure. I was thinking they were supposed to be like 32. I got more in the front tires than I do in the 315s in the back. I need to get some stuff and clean my engine. Taking that cover off, I was going to buy the half covers and put on this car, and as you can see right there where the sand and dirt and stuff is building up there, and I should have left the cover on there, but the oil, it looks pretty good. It's just right at the mark. Yeah, it's right there on it. It's good and clean. Well, guys, I ought to get it. I mean, I know this is the longest one and the most retarded one in history, but you know, like I said, I'll fast forward some of this stuff to keep from boring y'all to death, and get my mess and stuff cleaned up and my oil put in a container to carry back to the parts store to get rid of it. But anyway, that's how you do an oil change, sort of, I guess. You'll probably be more scared to try to do it now after watching my video.